I want to track the entire motion of my hand right here and put text or images or graphics to it. So we're going to go ahead and track the entire thing, but I do want to note that if you only wanted to track a section of this clip, you could certainly do that. But for this example, I'm going to just track the entire thing. So what you do is you click on your clip right here, make sure it's selected, go up to Tracker and click Track Motion because we want to track motion. And you can see it's opened up this window right here, the layer, control layer or whatever, window, whichever one that's called, and track point number 1. And this is basically where you're going to track your subject. You can click, drag it, move it around, and put it on anything you want to track. So we're going to do the thumb just because that's going to be a lot easier than tracking the hand. So we're going to select the thumb, and the way it works is the small box kind of tracks your subject, and this outer box tracks the background, the edges of it, and that helps After Effects determine where the subject is moving. So you want to give a little bit of room for After Effects to kind of analyze all those pixels that's happening in there. Great. So now once you have all that set up, go back into your tracker panel, and you have some settings here. Motion source, current track, those are all fine, but you want to make sure position is checked and uncheck rotation and scale. We're not going to be dealing with those in this example. And next, if you click edit target, you'll notice that that's all grayed out. You can't really change that, and that's only because you only have one layer in your composition right now. But what we want to do is apply the track to a null object. That way we have a little bit more flexibility down the road if we want to make other changes to this video clip. So we're going to right click, new, null object. So now that we have this null object, we can go back into the tracker panel and click edit target, and now you can see null 6 is selected right there, which is what we want. And like I said, if you have other things in this composition of the layers, you can choose those, but we'll just stick with null 6 and put all the information there. Perfect. So now that's all set up. We got our null and our tracker is in the right position. Next thing that we are going to do is make sure the playhead is at the very beginning of the clip or the section that we want tracked, which it is down here, and then we can click play and it'll automatically start tracking that thumb. So let's click and see what happens. Perfect. So I just stopped it right there. I just did a couple seconds, and you can see that it's done a pretty good job of tracking it. All these little turquoise boxes are keyframes essentially for where the thumb is at that point in time. And if I drag my playhead back, you can see how the tracker is moving with the thumb, doing exactly what we want it to do. So we're going to go ahead and go back to where we were. Yeah, and if you notice that it was off at some point, you could just click this and move it around to recenter it, but everything looks really good, so we're just going to keep on going through. So I'm going to click play again to analyze forward and watch it finish the rest. Okay, so now you can see there it clearly lost the thumb, so we're just going to back up just a little bit to about right there, and now we're going to go one frame at a time by pushing command right arrow. Okay, and we'll just go one frame at a time and adjust this until it's looking right. The reason it's having trouble right here is because the hand is moving fast, causing motion blur, and it's hard for After Effects to determine where it's moving. So on some of these areas you're just going to have to do it manually. But you can see right there it kind of focuses and the blurriness goes down, so you should be able to move better there. But we'll just keep analyzing frame. And another thing you can do is click this analyze one frame forward button, and that'll let you move one at a time through it. And then once you've gotten everything back to how it should be, you can click the Analyze Forward button again and continue on. And I can see that it went off frame, so I just paused it, and I'm going to move up. And it's doing all right. I'll move it up a little bit more, and then continue on. And it looks like it got off just a little bit right there. So I'll move it up, and we'll move forward frame by frame through some of those tougher sections. Yeah, right there. That's good. And continue playing the rest of the way. And boom, that looks pretty good. So I know it can be a little confusing and overwhelming with all these different lines going on, and it can get tough when your subject is moving a lot in the same area. It just creates all these dots. But if you just kind of focus on this white box as you drag your playhead and make sure it stays on your subject, you should be in good shape. So I'm pretty happy with that, how that's playing through, and the way we save these changes and make it permanent and apply it to the null is you go over here into the tracker panel and click apply. And X and Y, that's fine. Click OK, and boom, we're back in our composition, and you see all these keyframes on the null object right there. You can see how it got applied, and now our null is moving exactly how our tracker was moving, and that's looking really good. So that was the hard part. Now the easy part is whatever sort of object or subject you want to track to this, you can go ahead and bring it in. So I'm going to add in text. I'm going to do Command T for my text, and I'm just going to type text just like that. And I'm going to move it right over my thumb just like that. Then you come down here and pick whip the text to the null. Make sure you do it to the null, not the video clip, because the video clip doesn't have any effects. So put it right on the null. And now when you click play, you can see that the text is moving with the thumb. And that's looking pretty good. And one thing that I like to do that really sells this is add a little motion blur. So on the text, turn that on, make sure that's on, and you play it through, and it just makes it look a little bit more realistic. And you can see, I mean, there's a little spot in here where it gets a little funky, so you can go back and fine tune that, but this is just a basic tutorial. So that's how you adjust your text. And the cool thing about this is, since it's parented to the null, I can move my text anywhere I want it to be, and it'll still be linked to the null object, to my thumb. So I can move it up, I can move it down, I can change it, I can add, make it longer, and it's not gonna affect anything. It's still gonna be tracked to that null, which is really good. Now, same thing goes for images, graphics, logos. So say if I had this picture right here that I want to bring in, it's really big, so we'll scale her down. I have this picture here that I want to track. I can click it, put it in the position I want it to be in, and parent that to the null. And I'll just turn the text layer off right now. Motion blur, and same thing. Now the picture is tracked to the motion of my thumb. Same thing if you have a logo. I'm going to put my logo in here, my MF Magargee Films. Scale her down, put that where I want it to be. Say I want it on the left here a little bit. Parent that to the null object. Don't forget motion blur. And there it is. Now the cool thing is you can have multiple things on at the same time. You can have the text, you can have the image, your logo, whatever you want, or you can just simply choose to have one object parented to it. And if I wanted to go back and I wanted to make another track point on my left thumb, you would just do the same thing. I would recommend creating a new null object and maybe name that like track point 2. That way you don't get them confused. Click on your original video layer, go up to tracker, motion, and then now you have another track point, and you can just move that over here, and then make sure when you edit this target you put it on tracker point 2. That way it doesn't get confused. Go through the same process, and then when you go back here, you'll have another null tracked to this thumb, and then you can parent your clips to that. And then also what I like to do is, instead of just having this image up here, you can maybe make it fade in with opacity. Just turn it down to 0, and then it'll slowly fade in just like that. All kinds of different ways you can introduce it, different things you can do, but it's really cool that it tracks to a subject moving in the video clip. And that's about it. So like I said before, you can track different objects. You can track hands, faces, pencils, whatever's moving in the subject. You can track that motion and then parent different objects, text, logos, graphics to that, and just be really creative and create some different things from it. If you do use this in your own videos, leave a comment below. I'd love to see how you used it in your videos. If you like this video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe. It really helps me to be able to create more videos for you guys in the future. See you next time.